right, we are live. So I'm using a different microphone today, so audio should be much better than last time. All right, we've got Habs247. How you going? We've got Tiny House Musician Dan. Welcome. Kin, Darren. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I am back. What an awesome place Denmark and Sweden is. I got to say, both places were fantastic. Unbelievable. So for those who don't know, I was away for about 8 days or something, or 9 days or something like that. I posted some pictures of the trip on Instagram. It was a whole lot of fun. I'm just going to fix my webcam. I'm too OCD like that. It's not straight. It's a bit better, but that'll have to do. All right, so yeah, thanks guys. We got Brian, welcome. Craig says, ended up at Sky Music yesterday, got a PRS Custom 24, Trampus Green, awesome stuff, well done. Mine's sitting right here, I might grab it in a little bit. Audio is perfect, thanks man. Frozen Dan, thanks mate, I've never clicked so fast in my life. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask too. Sorry I've been a little bit out of the YouTube scene the last week or so, but yeah, I have been away. I went to Denmark and Sweden. And I think I fell in love with Copenhagen, man. What a place. You know, like, sometimes this trip was a bit of a... Sorry. It's just not straight. Anyway, that's going to have to do. If it's annoying everybody, let me know. Copenhagen is just like one of the best places I've ever seen. And I went with next to no expectations. Not to say I didn't... Well... The reason I went with no expectations was, realistically, I didn't know a lot about the place. And to be completely blown away by it was something else, you know, like... That's almost it. I just want to fix this webcam, guys. Hang on. Alright, that's it. I'm not going to touch it again. Unless I knock it. So, yeah, I was just blown away. It's a beautiful city. Beautiful people. Like literally, like I've never seen. Just it was stunning. The whole place was clean. It was safe. Everything about it was great. If you're thinking about going somewhere in Europe or Scandinavia or whatever, you've never been to anywhere like I had. I've never been to anywhere in Europe up until that trip. Denmark is just, and Sweden was beautiful too. But Denmark was, or Copenhagen, I should say, was in Denmark was beautiful. So, I knocked the. There goes the webcam. All right, let's leave it like that. I'll just bring it up. Oh my God, what's going on with this thing? It's like the cable is pulling it down. That should be okay. All right, cool. We've got Surfbee, welcome. What was the highlight? There was a few things that I really loved about it. You know, like it really made me feel uncultured completely. Like most people over there speak at least 2 languages, which kind of surprised me. I guess it's not that surprising, but in a way, like I guess one of the things that surprised me was how tall everyone was. You know, like a lot of the girls you see there are like 5'10", thin, tall, blonde. And that stereotype is real. So if you're into that, you'll definitely have a great time over there. But yeah, Copenhagen was just such a beautiful place, you know. I can't believe how friendly people were. It felt very different to Australia, which is a great place as well. It felt less micromanaged. The open roads are great. I love driving at 130 kilometers an hour and legally at 130 kilometers an hour. You get on the freeways, man, and people are just flying down the road. But it kind of works, you know. It's not like our roads are severely micromanaged in Australia. And I got to say, man, I had a great trip. I had a really great trip. And it's a place I could live, man. I could live in Denmark. Or I live in Copenhagen anyway. I didn't look. I saw a lot of both Sweden and Denmark, but I didn't see everything. But wow, what a town, man! What a town. Malmö, which I always pronounce Malmo, in Sweden was awesome as well. I really love that town. Plenty to do. It surprised me like how beautiful it was and how clean and safe it was. I never felt like, I was worried about anything. I had my camera in my hand the entire trip. It's not something I'd do if I was in the States, or even in Australia. I wouldn't just leave it out all the time. So it was just one of those. It depends where you go, obviously, as well. But, I had a bit of a break from... I did answer some comments I saw coming up on videos when I had Wi-Fi, but I haven't really been around. So if anyone had any questions that I missed, you can let me know. Parts of Chicago are not safe. They've got the blues. Yeah, absolutely. So I went to Buddy Guy's Legends, and I'd met Rick Hall, his guitar player, in Australia a long time ago. And about 2 years after that, I went to Chicago, and he goes, "Oh, which way are you going?" I go, "Oh, I'm going back to wherever the hotel was." He goes, "All right, so don't go down that way. Whatever you do, don't go that way. Leave and go this way, and leave before it gets too dark." I was like, "Wow, all right, I'll do that." So, it's really, you know what? It's a big call, but I think Copenhagen might be the best city I've ever been to. It's not a tall city, but it's just beautiful. I can't stress it enough. And what I love about it too is how big the bike culture is there. Like, so many people ride their bikes, and they get right away on the roads too. So they everyone's pretty fit, which was really surprising. I don't remember seeing too many people that were, really unhealthy there, which was one of the things that, you don't see in Australia, and clearly not in the US either. I think Australia might be a fatter country now than the United States, so we've got that going for us. But I love the fact I could get straight into a car and drive, and just not have to worry about like trying to work things out. It was pretty easy. After the first day, I felt pretty comfortable driving. So a surfer beach says, "Am I going back?" I'd love to. It won't be for a little while, but my friend and I had a great time. So if you want to see any photos of that, you can follow me on Instagram, INTHEBLUES with an underscore at the end. We posted some photos there. I do have a lot of video footage. I'm going to put together like a vlog. I might even do like a podcast segment on it and just go into it in more detail, share some photos, all that kind of stuff. So you seem like you're never away, still pumping out the videos. Yeah, I scheduled 3 weeks of videos in advance. So all the stuff you've seen, I shot like a month ago. And that's kind of cool. That's the cool thing about this. I can kind of, if I'm organized enough, I think I was only doing like 3 videos a week, which is, relatively easy now, considering I was doing daily content for like 90 days or something. So 3 days a week is enough. I think that's going to be the plan going forward. It makes me more balanced, not doing it all the time. I sort of starting to lose track of other stuff. So had a great time. So have fun, guitar player. Do they drive on the other side of the road? They drive on the same side as the US, which is the opposite of where I was. It's funny, I left winter and I got to Thailand, and it was 30 degrees Celsius, which was double what it was here. That's like 96 or something like that. And then I ended up when we got to, I knew it wasn't obviously going to be that warm while I was in Sweden, but we got some really nice days. It was in the 20s, which was beautiful. I saw some just beautiful places. There's a couple of places in Sweden I saw that were stunning. I just can't remember their names off the top of my head. Every street sign and stuff, I couldn't pronounce anything. I was mispronouncing Malmö the entire time I was there, so you'll see me mispronounce a lot of names of places and all that. But it was stunning. It was really, really beautiful, and it was one of the best trips I've had, even though it was short. I had an absolute blast, and I hope to do it again at some point. Hey, Jamal, welcome, man. Where is he? Someone mentioned him. I didn't see his comment come up. I might have missed it. Is he there? Hey, Jamal, how are you, mate? There he is. I think I'm going. You've got me convinced. Man, it is beautiful. Like, I've seen a lot of cities in the US. I've probably been to like, not boasting, like 15 or 20 of them. Like, I've been to a lot of them. I've been to all the major cities in Australia. Yeah, I have actually. I don't think anything comes close to Copenhagen, or to Denmark. It's in Copenhagen. Copenhagen's in Denmark, I meant to say. So it's really stunning. It really is. It's not a tall city. Like, the tallest building's like not that big, but it sprawls out, and it's just, the architecture is beautiful. I saw a couple of castles while I was there and all that kind of stuff. So. Scoot says, what genre of music is played in clubs or bars? You know what's funny? We played pool at a couple of places and all that, and we heard AC/DC. It was a really great, it was like Australian and American music. There was no, actually I shouldn't say that. There was one place in Copenhagen that were playing, I guess, local music. There was a band there and they were playing some really different stuff. It wasn't like blues or soul or rock and roll. It was some other sort of music. I put it in the world music category. But yeah, I didn't get to see a whole lot of live music. And that's one thing I thought I was going to see more. I even went to like where a college campus is. There's just, not to the college obviously, but around that area I was expecting to hear a lot of live music. But the guitar shops over there was just something else. So I have 3 Guitar Search Saturdays. I booked 2 and found another shop that was just blew me away, and the guy in there recognized me. He's a lovely dude. So he said, oh, come in and do a video if you want. I said, oh, I'd love to. So we did that, and I'm going to be featuring some lefties and some righties on that video, because my friend Shania plays right-handed, and she's pretty great. So yeah. How does Denmark compare to Sweden? I think Sweden's coastline is maybe a little more beautiful to some extent, but both places feel very similar. They're so close to each other. Like, you land at the airport and then you go over and under this bridge that goes under the water kind of, and then over, and you literally you're there in 10 minutes. Chad, Boston, thanks man. I appreciate that. Have a pint or a coffee. Thanks dude. I haven't played a whole lot of guitar in the last week or so, and yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to having jam tonight. Hoofhearted says, have you been to Canada? I have. Vancouver is probably up there in some of the top cities for me I've ever been to. So I'd put Copenhagen and Vancouver very similar to each other in terms of how I felt being there. It was both were beautiful. So. I've been to Toronto, but not really. Just the airport doesn't count. Next year, I turn 40. How do you do that? Dun, 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 dun. So, yeah, I'd love to go back there and check it out. Vancouver was stunning. But we'll see, you know. I don't know what's coming up next year. It's one of those things, man. There's so many beautiful places out there, and you know, I live in a place a lot of people want to come to, but it really put into perspective, like space. I kind of feel like the further out I am from the city, the more I'm gonna enjoy life a little more. I'm not really like in the city where I live here, and it's fine, but I really enjoyed just. It was funny. Just I'm not like a country sort of guy, but I really enjoyed the rolling hills and all that kind of stuff. We just drove and got lost not lost. We had a GPS, but we just took a road and drove. We ended up in some of the most beautiful places you could have ever seen. You know, it was really stunning. I want my $2. Thanks, man. Looking at a Tokai Love Rock suggestion on which model to look at. The LS110 is a really good model. That's what I play. I love it. If you after a Japanese one, that would be definitely a choice to go for. I think price to performance, it's on par with a lot of higher end Gibsons. So like the custom shop range, although it's one of the entry level ones, I've owned both. Playability wise, feel wise, it's very much like a 50s Les Paul. So if that's what you're after, it's definitely go for it. It's kind of like a 58 or 9, something like that. Terry, welcome, man. If you haven't been told you want the Made in Japan Tokai Love Rocks, they're like R9 quality. Oh, there you go. That's exactly what I said. So thanks, Terry. Play Safety Dance. Greatest song ever written. Thanks, David. Play safety dance. You know what? I'm going to have to look that up. I don't know it. So I'm plugged into someone just asked what I'm playing through. I'm into the Kemper. I've got my guitar volume down actually. I'm riding the volume control right now. This is right down through the Mesa Boogie Studio 22 lower gain dirt setting that I made. I'll crank it up in a bit. We're also going pickless today because I don't know where my picks are going. I cleaned up before I left and I can't find anything. So that Kat's asked, which amp it was. So that's what I'm using. I've got the Bandit profiled on here as well, so I can use that at some point too. Wondering if you know any BB King songs in B flat that I can practice on. I mean, you can pretty much just transpose any blues songs, and that's what I kind of do. I could be wrong, but I think he does what's his shuffle? I had a live album, a live DVD of his a while back. I think I've still got it. It wasn't very good actually. It was when he was getting old, you know, and unfortunately, like, it's great that he played up until the end, but the DVD itself didn't have a whole lot of vibe. Actually, I think the song's in G sharp, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. But just jump on YouTube. Plenty of great backing tracks to practice in every key. And I'm sure someone's done, like a BB King style one in B flat. So yeah, someone just, where was that? Surferby says you're recharged. Absolutely. You know what? I was getting a little burnt out. I mentioned this a few times. I shouldn't complain. I love what I do, but when you're doing everything yourself, I know Rick jumps on a few videos from time to time, but when you're sort of doing everything else, I was getting burnt out. That's why I needed a break, and I think it's healthy to do that from time to time. Even if it's locally, I just sort of have to unplug every now and then. But the trip was great. It really opened up. I got a European passport I've never used too. I didn't even use it on this last trip, so I might, maybe I'm sort of half thinking maybe I could spend 6 months over there or something, but we'll see. Dave, welcome in. Hey, Pat, how are you, mate? That's both pickups because it eliminates the buzz. Let me move this chat down here. I'm a little bit behind. Ben Coombs, welcome, man. Thanks, guys. A few people are commenting on the photos I've shared. No, it was great. We kind of vlogged it. We're not the best at vlogging like that, like having a camera in public. But we did a bit of it. So, it was... I'm going to try and work out how to best share that with everybody. I'll post it on this channel too. I might be part of a podcast or something. I really want to do another one of those coming up. Best blues city you've visited. Maybe Chicago or San Francisco is a good one. A lot of people might not know that, but there's so much blues in San Francisco. That would be pretty high on the list. And Austin, Texas is a really great town. That would be the three that would come to mind. Out of anywhere I've been. I haven't been everywhere, by the way, but out of the places I've been, they're the best. And the vibe's great because, I don't know if... I'm sure there's a lot of people watching from Australia or from other countries around the world, but the thing the Americans have got over everywhere else is just great singers. You could say, oh yeah, there's a great singer here or there, but they're not like the actual American singers that can just wail. It's not even close. Like our best blues vocalists here, just shocking compared to the guys and girls who grew up singing in choirs or whatever. It's a whole different level. So yeah, the Americans have got the blues thing wrapped up. I don't think they'll ever. The Maoris can sing. The New Zealanders, they got the natural vocal as well. But I'm yet to hear one that really comes close to, say, like a Freddie King or any of those kind of guys, or Chris Kane or Michael Burks or any of these dudes. So it's just not even close. Or even Tommy Castro, man. A guy can sing his ass off. My favorite place in Toronto was the Science Centre. Okay, cool. Yeah, like I said, I've only been to the airport there, so that doesn't really count. You're going to get the messy chops today. Oh, the chat just scrolled. Let me move it back up here. I might have missed some questions. Thriller's Gone is in C when he played. Oh, there you go. Cool. Alright, so Craig says, Shane, you were right. The PRS SE has to be the easiest guitar I've ever played. Such a great guitar for the money. Played it at Sky Music yesterday and walked out with it. Shocked how good it is. I totally agree. Mine's sitting right there. I'll probably take it out tonight. Actually, I might take this out. I'm just playing the SX today. But yeah, the PRSSE, man, they play themselves. They're really, really great. Some tally action while I listen and work on a tally build. That's from Guitar Girl, KB, welcome. Cool. Wait, what? We have a female in the house. You must be making it up the 2% of my audience. Welcome. I'll have to check out your channel. I might have already checked it out, actually. So this is with the volume back up. Down a little bit. Alright, let's go down. Have I been to Nashville? I haven't yet. No, that's definitely on the places to visit list. I haven't been there at all. And yeah, I keep saying, yeah, I've got to go there. Same with New York City. I always say, yeah, I'll get there next time, and I never do. So rather than keep going, you know what, next time. I'm going to make it happen. San Fran is such a cool city. That's from Hoof. Yeah, it is. I've spent a lot of time in San Francisco over the years. Been lucky enough to probably spend the equivalent of about 8 months. I spent 3 month stints there, and probably the equivalent of like another month or two in 2 or 3 week trips. So yeah, it's such a great town. I've got a lot of friends that I know there. One day I actually want to record an album with the guys I know over there. There's a drummer I know, Jeremy Honig, who's, if you're ever in San Francisco, man, just watch him play. He's the king of the shuffle, this guy. He's unbelievable. So yeah, there's a lot of, one of my best friends over there, Ed, is just a phenomenal musician, great singer, the Bay Area's best tuba and trumpet player, a great guitarist, phenomenal bass player, a real smart ass, so I'd love to do something with these guys at some point and record. I almost did it a few years ago, but I wasn't prepared. It would have meant I needed to buy a whole lot of gear to do just the recording, and I couldn't justify it back then. But next time I'll take an 8-track and lay down all the rhythm tracks with these guys. They're phenomenal. And hopefully maybe get a couple of their singers on there as well. So Austin has put out some great guitarists like Charlie Sexton, Doyle Bramwell, and the Vaughns. Absolutely. I really need a pick when I'm playing that sort of stuff. It's too hard otherwise. This isn't my normal pick, but we'll work with it. Shane, those SX guitars seem pretty nice. Yeah, they are. I wouldn't have bought it otherwise. If it was a piece of junk, I would have left it on the shelf. You know what? And this is no joke. I took this out of the case and it was in tune. It hasn't been played for ages. I haven't had any heating on in here or anything, so... My only slight criticism is the neck pickup. It's maybe a little too rolled out. But it's not bad, you know, like... I actually got some really great footage of these guitars recently as well. Not obviously since I've been away, but prior to that. And I'll share some videos coming up. There'll be some... you probably noticed like I'm doing less like just straight up gear videos. They're still there obviously, but I'm trying some different stuff, and I'm going to probably incorporate some more live playing videos on the channel coming up as well. The guitar pit, wow, 2%. I have 0%. Yeah, he's referring to 2% female audience. I think it's around that. Are those the stock pickups? They seem pretty legit. So yeah, totally stock. I did change the neck pickup with this gold one on a video from this series I do called Music Gear on a Budget. I put this one straight back in. This was much better. It's not a bad neck pickup at all. It actually sounds very similar to just about any other single coil neck pickup I've played in a Fender. But I always find sometimes they're just not quite... They're warm sounding, but they don't have enough snap. It's not bad. I think this guitar really shines on both and bridge, in my opinion. Like, it's just got a real... It brings all the chime in and... It sounds great. I wish we could get the vintage series of SX in the USA. Oh, I didn't realize you couldn't. Actually, it's funny. A few people mentioned that they can't find them on these guitars on any website. I just typed in SX guitars and it took me to the official website, and I scrolled over and hit VTG series. Yeah, that's interesting that you can't get them now. I'm not too sure why. Do I roll off the tone control much? Never, normally. I have today. I've got it down about, say 10 is full blast. I've got it on about 8. But if I'm on neck, it's all the way up. Most of the time when I play live, I don't even touch the tone controls. I might as well just take them off. Like, I feel like you can do everything you need to with the amp. Unless you've got a horribly bright guitar for whatever reason. That might be the only time I use it. Or if you're playing into a terrible amplifier. But yeah, I'm not much into these sort of sounds. I much prefer this. Speaking of Nashville, we need to take over Gibson. Yeah, what are they selling their company for? Minus $500 million? No, I don't know what's going on there. I'm a little bit out of the loop if something's happened or if it's up for sale. Ever play T-Bone Walker's early version of Everyday I Have the Blues? T-Bone is one of my top blues players of all time. I love his stuff. A lot of the licks you hear me play, like some of these ones, that's all T-Bone stuff. So yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah, that's a real one of my favorite T-Bone licks. He's a great player. Are you going to NAMM? Probably not. Nah, it's not something that I'd like to check it out one day, but I don't really want to go and interview companies. It's not really my thing, and I don't know if I'll ever do that, to be honest. Look, I like the Melbourne Guitar Show. I put in quotations because it's close to home. I'm not going to fly, I'm not going to spend $3,000 to go to a show to talk to companies. I don't think that's really, an advantageous thing for my channel. If you knew how little people earn on YouTube, you probably go, well, it's not a good investment, So, and there's people doing that already, so I don't see the value in it. But would I like to go if I was flown over there? I'd probably go check it out. But I would go as just some dude walking through the complex. Maybe do like a massive Guitar Search Saturday. All right, considering the Donna Greenland pedal, is the foot switch bypassable or only between the two channels? All right, so you can run it two different ways. I think from memory, if you hold down the button in the middle, it changes modes. So you can have it either turn on or off or switch. I'm pretty sure, just double check that. I did videos of it. I know it quick switches between channels, but I'm pretty sure there's a mode where you can turn... Oh no, that's the cab sim button. All right, hang on. I think if you hold down the foot switch, possibly, it might change modes. It might lock it to that mode on or off. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, but I have done that on... I have done most of those videos. I'm not sure if I covered that or not, but I'm pretty sure I commented on that on at least one of those videos. I'm in Kentucky, but minutes from Nashville, the best of both worlds. The South will love to have you. Ah, cool, man. No, I love this. I love the South in America. It's kind of fun. I don't know what it is. It's so laid back. Can you recommend a Fender Tube amp for bedroom volume playing? I like the Blues Junior. The Blues Junior is way too loud for a bedroom amp. The only one that they make that would be any good would be the Pro Junior. And even then, to get it to its sweet spot, you kind of got to crank it. It has no reverb though. 15 watt tube amp at home is too loud. You'd be better off getting something like this, like a Bugera V5 that you can switch down to 0.5 watts, or even something like a solid state amp with a power attenuator, like a Blues Cube or something, because you can switch it down to 1 watt or whatever it goes down to. That would mean you could play it at home at better volumes, because if volumes are concerned, Blues Junior is not the answer. They're way louder than most people think, especially the new ones, which are awesome. All right, Jamal, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Pepsi Max Fund. Hey, the 2019 Gibson lineup is looking quite promising for us Southpaws. Have you seen them yet? I haven't. I played a 2018 Les Paul Jr. while I was away, and it sounded good. I was pretty surprised by the tone, actually. It was really bright and lively and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a little out of the loop, man. I'm gonna have to check that out. I got back not yesterday, but the night before, but I slept most of yesterday, which wasn't good. So, yeah, I need to get back on that. I might add that to the podcast. Thanks, man. And thanks for all the support too, mate. I appreciate it. David Chalshane, Greetings from Naples. Awesome. 3 o'clock in the morning. You madman. Va bene, grazie. Hey, Sonia, welcome. I think I might have missed it. Hey, Lando, how are you, man? Sorry, mate. This chat keeps like just going. I move it back and then it just flies down. Thanks, Guitar Rehab. I appreciate that. I just got asked, did I enjoy Sweden and Denmark? I did. I commented on it for a few minutes at the start of the stream. It was phenomenal. You know, it was one of those random trips. Like neither myself or my friend had been there before, and that was part of the, you know, to find somewhere we hadn't both been, and it blew me away. I could live in Copenhagen. I could live in Sweden too, to be honest. Both were phenomenal. But yeah, you scroll back, there'll be 5 minutes about the trip as well. I'll add a bit of a podcast or vlog video up at some point too. Get a Blues Cube, tube sound. There you go. So yeah, that's in relation to the question about the Fender amps. You'd be better off buying a solid state amp or something sub 5 watts if you're buying a valve amp, because they're going to be too loud. So anything with a power attenuator means you can turn the output volume down, and yeah, you get more usable tones at home. So thanks again, Jamal. I appreciate that, mate. Love the weather there. Boss Katana. Yeah, a lot of people are saying get the Boss Katana. Next time you'll have to stop by my place and we'll check out green guitars. Okay, cool, man. Green guitars. It's funny, you know, like I had a few people they weren't obviously aware I was going away, and that's fair enough. I don't expect everyone to follow everything, but one of the guitar shops in Sweden reposted one of my Instagram videos, and a few people were like, "What are you doing over here?" I was like gonna buy strings today. It would have been cool to say hi, but yeah, next time I go, I might post some like, "Hey, we're gonna be here" kind of videos. Lando says you should check out the Scam Guitar website that keeps popping up on Instagram and Facebook ads. Take a look at my Instagram pics later. Pretty bad. Yeah, I saw like a comment come through on my app while I was away, but I've literally been pretty unplugged, so I'll check back to it. I'll check it out. Get back to the gym. So I went to the gym today. This was one of the things that I missed while I was away. I trained once, but it's just a crappy hotel gym. But I lifted today, this morning, just an hour or two ago. And I haven't lost much strength, which was good. And I don't think you're going to lose much size in a 8 days either. So I think I've lost actual body fat just from walking, which is cool. But I got to say, like, the thing that I love about that side of the world is, you know, you go to a restaurant, like an Italian restaurant, and they're all Italians. You know, they're not like dudes trying to make Italian food. It's the full-blown Italian experience, and that's super cool. We get a bit of that here too, but it's kind of like stuck in the 50s here. Like when a lot of the immigration came in, it hasn't it's not any different to how it was probably, you know, cooked or produced back then. And it's still great food. I love Italian food here too, but there was something cool about eating food from different nationalities or whatever, and having those people actually being in the cooks, you know, it was awesome. So yeah, beautiful place. In the Blues, the Gem came to me today. The Gem. I'm not too sure what that is. Sorry, you're gonna have to refresh my memory. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Let's hear some killer tones from that thing. So this is the, let's go bridge pickup. Over to neck. chime on there, on the neck. I just wish it had a little more snap, but it's still pretty cool. Workout or jam, pick one. Both. It's a good balance. No doubt about it. I think since I've started lifting, I feel way better. And I noticed it even on the flight. Like, I used to always complain about having a really sore back after I've been sitting down for 22 hours. But, yeah, I was actually pretty good with it this time. I took a little... I got one of these little round hard ball things, which I use to sort of unlock my shoulder every now and then. If I'm, you know, doing a heavy session, I'll just sort of put it in under here and sort of twist my arm, and it helps really loosen up your shoulder. But I had it so I could put it on my back, and on the way home I was fine. I was really quite surprised. Do I know anything about Steely Dan, and what can you say about the way they created music? Look, I've heard some of their tunes. I'm not a huge fan, and not because I don't like them. It's just that I don't know enough about them to really comment in depth about. You know, Steely Dan are a great band, but I'm not like a huge fan in terms of I don't know enough of their stuff, so probably not informed enough to really comment on that. If I hear some of their songs, I'm usually enjoying them, but yeah. Oh, Ibanez Jam. There we go. Cool. Did you see any gear that you really wanted while away? Something you considered shipping home? Yeah, there was 2 guitars. So the first one was this Godin. It was like it looked like this, right? It was a Telecaster, but it was an acoustic, and it had it had a piezo pickup on the bridge, and that was it. So there was no like hole cut out of it or anything, but it was an acoustic guitar, and it had like an EQ system and volume control slider system here. It was really cool. It was like a tremolo music boutique, however you say it. And we filmed a little bit of the video on it as well. So on Instagram, I posted a short clip. It had really old strings, unfortunately, and it was the first guitar shop I went in, and I don't like just buying stuff at the first store. So that was probably the only guitar that I thought, you know what, I could use something like this. It feels like an electric. It sounds like an acoustic. Well, it is an acoustic, but it's built like a Telecaster, but obviously it's a whole lot lighter and all that kind of stuff. So that was cool. And the only other lefty that really blew my mind, well, somewhat blew my mind, was the 2018 Gibson Les Paul Jr., which had a single P90. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I really wanted to love it because it was way cheaper over there than here, like by a lot. Even if I had to pay import tax on it, it was still going to be way cheaper, which was surprising. A lot of people told me horror stories about how expensive Europe is, and it was like the equivalent of about 2,200 Australian dollars, which I think here the same guitar would be like easy $3,000. Have I tried any Michael Kelly guitars? No, I've never seen a lefty. They're not really they've just come to Australia like this year. There's a distributor for them too, so. Going to have a jam tonight. It should be fun. Thanks, Guitar Rehab. Have a good one. Do I like the Fender Made in Japan guitars? Offset Tele looks great. Yeah, they're awesome. Rick and I actually, before we sort of finished up the Sky Music videos, we shot a handful of videos there that were never released. I'm going to try and put them on this channel coming up. We tested the Japanese new series of guitars versus like the made in Mexico ones, and they sound the same. There was very little difference in terms of tone and feel and all that kind of stuff. Really great guitars. Anyone who knows my channel, you know I like Japanese guitars. I haven't had a bad experience with them yet, and there's something to be said about that, you know. Guitar Hack, welcome. Thoughts on the Sterling Albert Lee? I haven't played one. I know that. Is that a Music Man? I always forget. Hang on, let me just go back up here. No knocking on the cheaper tallies, but the neck pickup, no matter the brand, always seems to be lackluster. Sometimes raising the pickup may be the simple trick to help get more snap on it or a bit more output. Yeah, definitely. Pickup height and position can drastically change the tone. I think I've got it in its sweet spot. After I replaced the neck pickup and put this one back in, I kind of sat down and tried to get a little bit more snap. Look, it's not bad, right? Like, I just wish it had a little more. That's the one thing I think a Strat's got over a Tele is the neck pickup. It's a to my ear a much more usable kind of sound. Well, not all Telecasters, just the ones that I've got. My 52 with the Joe Bardens, that neck pickup is so good. You know, every time I replace those pickups with something else, I go, man, I miss that neck pickup especially because it's got the sound. I should have grabbed it out actually. It's sitting in the cupboard. Maybe on the next one. I'm happier now that I can play guitar. I'm too old for the gym. You're never too old, man. It's just, it makes you feel good. I don't know. There's people at my gym that are of all ages and still doing their thing. Can't find the VTG SX anywhere in NJ, and I wanted to try one. Check out the official SX guitar website. I get that question a lot, like I can't find them here or there. Hopefully they got distributors listed there. If not, see if you can just import one of these from overseas. I don't know if you'd have that big a trouble with them. I mean, they're not even, there's no rosewood or anything. They should just be able to ship you out one. And even if it costs you like $80 US or whatever, it's still worth it. Like, these are really good. So I would just consider doing that. See if you can find a shop that ships internationally, or go to ebay.com.au, go to the Australian eBay, see if there's one there that can ship overseas. I mean, you know, I don't get any kickbacks or anything for saying that, but it's worth checking out. All right, I had a question here that I just missed. Where was it? Someone was asking me about. John says, give some thumbs up for Shane. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I missed a question here. Oh, yeah, okay. Do you use lemon oil to clean your fretboards? I don't. So I've got the Gibson tone polish. I've had it for 10 years. It's not the tone polish, though. It's called something else, like Gibson guitar polish. It's in a white container about that big, and it's lasted forever. And that's all I use. That's it. I do have this fretboard conditioner, which is in this really small pack. I've had that for exactly the same amount of time as well, and that's only for some of the rosewood fingerboards. But I haven't used it for so long. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't seem to be something that I need for the guitars I've got. So, but yeah, just get some Gibson or Planet Waves actually makes the same stuff. It's just a guitar cleaning fluid, and it works great. It works on everything. So yeah, just check that out. New guitar day today. Ibanez RG550, comparing it to my old 1990 version. Really liking it. Beautiful stuff. Congrats, man. Lando says, if Sky Music get the Vox Mini Super Beetle in stock, grab one and try it out. Super fun. Cool. I saw one at the guitar show, actually. They look pretty awesome. I need to check your videos too. I'm so behind on a lot of stuff here. A surprise Rondo's. Yeah, everyone's telling me about Rondo's Music have SX guitars, so yeah, try there. So it's just the guitar wax. It's not wax. It's like just it almost feels like a furniture polish kind of stuff, but less greasy. It's just I don't know. Just check it out. It's a clear liquid. It's almost watery to some extent. You know, it's got that kind of vibe, but it dries well. So don't put Windex on your guitar. A mate of mine did that, and it bubbled his fretboard. So. Did you ever find an Epiphone Casino? Not locally. No. I'm still on the lookout for one. That would be still one guitar I'd love to get. I think it's a trademark issue bringing vintage series into the US. Yeah, I don't know. I'm too sure. Washing machine works good. Yeah, just chuck them in the washing machine. Run them through the tumble dryer. You don't get too carried away with, products for guitars. It's just unnecessary. I'm lucky. Like I said, I've had easily those two containers for 10 years, maybe even longer. The only stuff I use a lot of is this, which I haven't used today. I haven't felt the need. Finger ease. I love this stuff. And I just spray this like crazy over the neck and when I need to, and it helps kind of makes it feel like you've been playing a while, which is great. Stan Lee, thanks, man. Just sat down at the computer, happened to catch Shane, so thanks. I use mineral oil fingerboards. Dry hot here in the winter. Oh, okay, cool. Funny one went for sale in the local classified, except it's a righty. Okay. Just use lemon oil for the fretboards. I have the Diodario one. It's a bottle of lemon oil. Okay, cool. Yeah, look, I don't know what the stuff is. I've never used lemon oil on the neck. I hear that a lot. A lot of people use it on the fretboard and stuff, but I've never actually owned it. Maybe the Gibson stuff is exactly the same thing, but it doesn't feel greasy, and that's what I like about it. If you take the strings off and you give it a good clean, there's no residue on there. It doesn't smell funny, or I can't notice any scent. It just sort of it's whatever it is. It's very neutral. I like that. It just sort of cleans it up, and then you can move on. Guitar SX Tele or Fender Players Tele? I mean, they're two different kind of guitars. If you've got the money, go for the Fender. But in terms of what you're gonna get from this, like I've said a number of times, these are easily on par with the classic vibe guitars. But if you're after a budget guitar, I would definitely go for this. Jason says, I got the finger ease because you recommend it. I love it. Well, I don't get sent this stuff for free. I pay for it here. So yeah, I've been using this stuff for years. I leave one in a gig bag and then one on my desk, and that way I've always got one around, whether I'm playing live. And sometimes you put new strings on, it doesn't feel like you need it, but after a few weeks of playing, the strings kind of get a bit scratchy and also a little bit just the sliding on them is not as nice. That's when I use that stuff, and I just go crazy, and then I wipe it down with my hand and then rub my hand on the back of the neck, and it really does work well. And it smells so good. It smells awesome. I don't know if that's normal or not to like that so much. this really cool riff before, this little trick right before I left, and I'm going to see if I can remember it in a second. Someone asked what amp I'm playing through. So I'm plugged into the Kemper, and I'm plugged into the Studio 22 Mesa Boogie. So I learnt this really cool thing. If you're saying the key of E, there's this riff which you hear a lot of blues guys use, but it's like... Hang on. You can move that around. It works really well over certain kinds of grooves. Yeah, so I'm trying to get some more random stuff here. Rondo's stock of SX got low. SX is made in China, so they were waiting to see if the tariff pie fight between the USA and China was going to affect them. They're going to get more in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Oh, well, there we go. Cool. There's plenty of places in Australia that sell these as well, so see if you can get, if you're interested, you probably get one online. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these companies do ship overseas. And I got to say, one of the funniest, oh, not funny, it wasn't hilarious at all, but one of the best music stores that were there, right? We did a Guitar Search Saturday through there. And I looked up at these Les Pauls. I was like, oh, hang on, these look awesome. What are they? And then I realized they were the SX ones, which I've never actually seen in person. So they had the entire range of SX guitars, which was something that I hadn't seen in person. And they had this one as well. I was like, I think that's mine. And I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, it was good to see a shop that sells high-end stuff carrying these. I thought that was a good little thing. John says he can't find any SX for sale at the moment. I made them too popular. Yeah, so I hear a lot of people saying, like, I've got a different version of this guitar. So yeah, these are the ones you want here. It's the VTG series. It says custom handmade on there. They're not handmade. I think they're maybe hand assembled, but yeah, VTG series. They're the ones you want. So if you punch that into Google, it'll come up with the website. I find it first result pretty much. There's a couple of them on the American eBay right now. Oh, cool. There you go. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find a couple more of these to review, if they make any other lefties, but I get so many people asking me about artist guitars as well, and there's a couple of lefties floating around of those at the moment as well, but we'll see how we go. I'm not in a rush to get any more guitars. I think I'm going to actually offload a few coming up. I feel like I've got a few too many, and these are guitars I'm not really playing live, which is still kind of my priority. They're nice to use on videos from time to time, but it feels like a bit of a waste, so I think I'm probably going to flip a couple. Probably going to get rid of the Dan Electro 64. And I'm going to hold on to the Supro for a bit, but I've been thinking, like, maybe, I don't know if that's a guitar I'm going to reach for. I need to play it more. I've only played it once live, so I need to play it a few more times and see if it's got something in there that I like. But yeah, I like certain tones in it already, but I need to feel comfortable and at home playing it live. So I need to sort of assess whether or not I'm going to keep them all. But yeah, there's a few guitars in the collection I think I'm going to flip. Someone said, where was it? Oh, I missed a comment about PV Bandits. Oh, the Bandits are harder to get now. So there you go. Yeah, look, I think people probably, I think it's just the way that it goes. When people are selling stuff, they look for information on it sometimes. And if my videos come up raving about it, maybe people hold on to it or they jack the price right up. Kemper Fender Twin. How's it sound? All right, I should be able to find a Fender Twin on here. Let's just see if it's actually hooked up to the USB. It should be, hopefully. So I've got like this massive pack of. I only usually use the Kemper profiles I made, like of my own gear, but I did get a pack of 500 from Tone Junkies TV, and I'll see if there's a twin here. So there's all kinds of Fender ones. There's Vox. There's what are these ones? What are the? I can't remember exactly all of them, but there's all kinds of stuff. Let me know what you want to hear. I can change tones. So I don't think there's any other boogie ones on here, but there's Sir amps and Orange amps. Oh, there's heaps of stuff. There's just about every Fender amp on here as well. Let's go to a Princeton maybe. What do you reckon? So this is a Princeton with a Klon. Let's give this a shot. Needs a bit more treble. It doesn't sound like there's a Klon on there to me, but anyway. Lando says you'll be able to sell one of your guitars to pay for every guitar on that scam site. But of course you won't be getting anything delivered. Excuse me. Yeah, those things are a joke. And Facebook is the worst, man. I remember when I was on there, I got hundreds of messages saying people were using my thumbnail from one of my videos on a scam website. I'm like, fantastic. So I'd keep emailing Facebook and talking to their customer support. They did nothing about it. Friggin' useless. That was one of the main reasons I got off there, was just how useless of a platform Facebook is. I don't like it. So if people are stupid enough to not research, is this site legit before they buy something, then people are crazy. Like that's, if I ever buy something from a website, the first thing I do, and if I've never bought from them before, I go through as many websites as I can to find out if anyone's been scammed. And then there's usually a meter that says this website's unsafe or this website's fine. There's a Bandit on Red Stripe for sale. There's a Bandit Red Stripe on Reverb for sale. The guy bought it because of Shane's video. Thanks. Well, I love mine. Mine's still sitting here. I got the stock speaker in there right now. When I did that comparison between the new one's sold. I sold it to a friend of mine that I sold it to him for the same price I bought it for. Alex, who's been on my channel, he's blew up actually just about a week before I got mine, and one of his two, it's his main amp, and he loves them, so he gets a much better sound out of those new ones than I do. I just kind of felt like the Red Stripe one, it was better in every way to my ear, but it's all subjective stuff. I mean, there's people that will like the new one over the Red Stripe one way more too. So for my personal taste, for me it was the new one wasn't quite it, but Facebook makes too much ad revenue from scam sites and people selling counterfeit or unauthorized merch. Totally, absolutely. I mean, there's so many great T-shirts that come and go through. Like you see ads for T-shirts pop up. But they don't have obviously the rights to that stuff either. So you'll see them for like a week and then they'll disappear. Thumbs up for Essing on Facebook. Yeah, man, you know what? I turned my account off. I deleted my account completely, right? About, I don't know, 6 months ago. And about a month ago, I started it again. I lasted a day and I just deleted it. I haven't been back on since. I do have my page, but it's attached to an anonymous account. But yeah, I just find the whole platform just useless. Now, the one thing I love about it is the buy, swap, and sell things, and that's really cool. If I if I'm looking for something or you need to sell something, that's actually kind of replaced eBay in a lot of ways, at least locally in your area. I know the US use Craigslist a lot, but we don't really have that here. Has anyone used the Hot Tone X-Tomp any good? Yeah, I did a review of that, I'm pretty sure. That's the digital, like you can load in different pedals into the pedal itself. So it's like a digital pedal, and you can shoot IRs into it of pedals and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. I gotta say, I think the things I liked most, actually the drives were pretty good, but it does delays really well, all that kind of stuff. It's a pretty cool pedal. I don't know if I've got a Dumble patch, man. I've got these like 2-rock ones. Yeah, there's that, but I don't know. You know what? Like this Tone Junkies pack is pretty good. If you don't have any patches or you can't make your own profiles or whatever, it's a very extensive pack. But I mostly just use the ones I made. I like them more. I don't think there's any real fine art to making these things. Just if you know how to record and you know where you like your mic placement, you can get some really great sounds. I don't see the value in having, unless you're like a super serious studio guy, there's no real need for 500 patches. I don't, it's just option paralysis. So for me, like, check this out. This sounds way better. And that's the one I made from the Boogie. Yeah, I don't know. I like the ones I made. And we've got the Bandit on the Vintage Drive channel. Woo! And that's with the, what's the Texas Heat. Listen how fat that is. PV Bandit. All right, let's try the, where is it? The DSL. Woo. John says, left Facebook 3.5 years ago. My YouTube feed is all I need. Yeah, it's a much healthier platform. No doubt about it. I know sometimes you can read a lot of bad comments and all that kind of stuff. That's just going to happen anytime people can post anything. But you know, Instagram I like because I find it non-intrusive to life. Like you can post a photo. I have all notifications on my phone off, so I don't get notifications for anything unless I manually check it. The less I have my phone in the hand, the better. And I kind of like Instagram because it doesn't sort of, I don't know, you just post something or you can see things that you like. There's no rants usually on there. Everything's just, you follow what you like and there's not a whole lot of other stuff. So for me, Instagram's kind of fun. I might check it once or twice a day or less sometimes, depending on like what I'm up to. But yeah, I find it less, Facebook's got an addictive quality to it. It's also got Instagram can probably be like that to some people too, but I don't find it addictive at all. I just like it. But YouTube's definitely the best platform that I like as well, absolutely. Facebook's hands-off approach by accepting advertising has made it a target for a lot of scams. They'll let you purchase ad space without any oversight and deal with complaints later. Yeah, totally. Absolutely, man. Facebook, I'm sure they're going to get sued for people who get scammed thanks to advertising through their site. I wouldn't be surprised. I actually hope it happens, because people are gullible, man. They'll buy stuff without knowing any better. Or someone's, parents might be on there and they'll say, oh, I can buy a guitar cheap from here, and they won't know any different. I think when you're an enthusiast or a working professional or something, you're a little bit more savvy about where to buy things, and that is Facebook's fault for allowing that and not double checking who's buying advertising. I must have had 40 people report a certain website that was on a certain page that was on Facebook, and they didn't take it down. They just didn't take it down. It's a useless reporting system. It really is. Is there a certain scale or pattern or mode you use more than others? So for me, mostly with blues or with anything, I'm basically sitting between the minor and major stuff. Always. Like if I'm playing a straight up blues in A, a lot of the stuff I play will be like sort of major stuff. And I like minor stuff. It's got a certain type of tonality to it that I don't like to hear all the time. So I use a lot of stuff that's kind of mixes. I mix a lot of minor and major scales together. Someone hammering outside, awesome. But then I also use a whole lot of passing notes. Everyone teaches this scale. I can't even almost play it like that anymore, because a lot of the notes I play, now a lot of those might sound kind of wrong, but when you hear them in context to riffs, they sound great. So there's a whole lot of passing notes and the blues notes. You would think that doesn't work in context to A, right? But it does, because it's part of the major scale. So for me, that's kind of where I sit around. I move with the chords. So if it goes to a 4, there's a T-bone riff, or I'll play over the D. So once you start moving with the chords, you can kind of get more out of the guitar just by linking up those scales that you already know. Even if you're a straight up minor player, my suggestion is learn some major licks for blues. Even all that stuff you hear Stevie do, like that's still like a major lick, because you're not playing a straight up minor scale. So those are the things that will get you out of playing straight up minor blues. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I can't listen to that over and over. A lot of the guys I like most are guys who are playing a lot of passing notes and just some different kind of stuff. That's why I think Chris Kane's great. He can play the bog standard blues, but he can also play all the other stuff that just sounds so good. A lot of that stuff I kind of got from Clapton as well, all that. Yeah, so a lot of those kind of notes you wouldn't think would work, but hang on a sec. And that's just something that's come over the years, learning where to land. Because a quick way to get out of minor pentatonic straight up is just move everything back 3 frets, but where you land is going to be different. And then you can kind of combine those two scales. A lot of what I play is like the extended minor pentatonic, which becomes the extended major one as well. So if you're in A, so that's the minor, and then you just start the same thing here off the 5. So yeah, that's kind of how I get around the fretboard. I've been messing with the Dorian scale. Oh. But that kind of only works over certain kinds of chord progressions as well. At least that's where I'm at with it. It might work over a lot of different chord progressions later, but that's where I'm at with it. It's harder when you think about it. I think you kind of got to hear the ideas in your head, and that just comes with it, like playing and getting the mind to hand connection going. And I'm not perfect with any of that either, but there's certain times where I know I'm in the zone and I'm playing stuff that isn't just a lot of muscle memory stuff, which is what I kind of do on these things. But when I play live, I tend to if I'm inspired, I tend to take my playing somewhere, and I'll hear ideas, even if it's just a phrasing thing, and I know I'm playing well. I know when I'm playing well because I'm not in a rush, and I can just generally phrase better. Oh. To me, when I play well, it's not about speed. It's kind of just more about phrasing and coming up with something that goes somewhere. And it's a big thing. A lot of guys don't seem to get it right. They'll, start a solo. It's like, no, don't start there. That's not gonna. You're not gonna be able to take that anywhere. So. So yeah, it's just about building and escalating solos to go somewhere. And it's also dependent on the band. But if you're in a jam situation and you're new at it, and the band are just smashing along, ask them to bring it down so you can start your solo somewhere nice. I think a lot of people are in way too much of a rush or they're in panic mode when they want to solo, when they play live. It's like, I got 24 bars, let's get it all out. It's like, no, take your time. Ask for a third go around if you're not the singer. And that's why I kind of started singing, because one of the reasons why anyway was because I wanted to, being able to lead the band allows you to kind of play as long as you like. As opposed to when you play with some singers who don't get it. They don't direct the band well and they only give you 12 or 24 bars. It's not enough. Yeah, so I don't think too much about scales. I guess that's the short answer. It's more about like phrasing and mixing the major and minor, but not being clinical with it. Like, find the passing notes that work well. You hear me play like stuff like... I just found that by accident one day, that riff, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I worked out, you find out where all those notes are, and that note isn't a note in the A scale, like it's not supposed to sound right, but it does. So there's a lot of stuff going on where you can play like chromatic runs to some extent and make it sound good. Not over everything, but there's times and a place for that. It won't work so great over minor. And these are things you just hear as you progress. I'm lucky, I'm surrounded by really great guitar players like Rick and Brian, always coming out with good chops. And I think the more I've played with Brian, the more I've tried to not sound too boring. I don't ever try to out Brian. For those who haven't heard Brian play before, you will pretty soon. We're going to do a 100,000 live stream gig coming up. And he's a special guy, man. I've known him for 15 years. And I've never heard him repeat himself. He's a true in the moment player. And he's got a couple of stock licks, but I'm like, how'd you do that? He's like, man, you'll never hear it again. I'm gonna grab my other guitar. Hang on. Favorite Chris Kane licks, man. He's got a lot that I can't. He's got a lot that I can't play, but there's definitely. I've pinched some stuff out of his playing. He's got all the Albert King stuff, which I love. Oh man, he's got so many good licks. That one that I was playing before is one of his. Well, I got it from him. Yeah. Oh, this. Those kind of ones are good. This. Sort of sounds funny out of context, but... You know, that sort of stuff is great. Man, it's been a little while since I've played, so not that long, but I'm just trying to think of what else. I've picked up a whole lot of his licks. Yeah, this one as well. These are all really simple ways of some of his ones, but I love this one actually over mine. He's just a really tasty player. Thanks for breaking that down, explaining. That's what makes live chat worth tuning into. Not everybody does what you do. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I notice a lot of YouTubers who are really popular are just home players. You know, it's really odd. With the exception of obviously guys like Pete Thorne and all those dudes. They're great players, but most guys don't play out live, or they don't have the experience with it. I think sometimes the critical ear doesn't come from just playing at home. It's like, how good does this thing sound when you actually take it out and play live? I think that's pretty much that should be the ambition of everybody who plays guitar. I don't care how old you are. If you're young or old, go out and play at a jam night. I mean, playing at home is fun. If you have no choice but to play at home through some sort of injury or whatever, fair enough. But, you know, playing out live will teach you a lot more than sitting at home playing the backing tracks. It will teach you how to play something in the moment, play with a band, and play with different timing and all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of one of those things. I say this a lot, but I've been playing live since before YouTube, and I'll be playing live a long time after it as well. So whenever this sort of dries up or whatever, I'll still be playing live. I'll still be doing the same stuff. James says he has a Tremonti PRS SE. Cool. Nice stuff. So right now I'm using the DSL 40 drive channel on my amp, but I'm plugged into the Kemper, so I profiled this. Haven't played this for about a week. Still in tune. Gotta love that. Needs a bit of delay. Oh, what did I just hit? I hit the wrong button. Now, here we go. It's a great guitar. I'm a home player, but it's a hobby for me. That's fair enough. Look, it's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, I go to the gym. I have no expectations of wanting to compete, right? So it's not on my radar. So I get that as well. But I think playing live is a really good... Once you do it a couple times, you kind of get addicted to it. There's something about it, you know, making things work in a live situation and just getting out there and doing it. Because I think music's supposed to be heard, and, you know, your kids or your wife or whatever might be able to hear you play, but it's something that you can't get from playing at home that you get from playing live. It's like a rush. You know, it's funny. Rick and I both play in bands, and we played together for years and all that kind of stuff. But there's been some nights at the jam that outdoes our bands. You know, it's like 1 in 8. You get 1 in every 8 weeks that there's one set of 30 minutes that's magic. Everyone's listening. Everyone's taking it somewhere. You're all on the same page. You know, quality musicians, all that kind of stuff. And you just don't get that all of the time at jams. But when it happens, it's amazing. And that's what keeps me going, you know. Like Rick said after a set I had with my friend Dave and a few of the other guys, like, that was almost like a religious experience. Playing, we're all in the zone, we're all listening. No one was getting in each other's way. And it's a really great feeling, you know. Like it's almost like being on fire with basketball or whatever. There's there's that feeling like here's 5 dudes or women or whatever playing together, and it sounds better than a band. Like, how does that happen? You're just winging it, and it feels great. So, there's a feeling that comes from that you don't get from playing at home. You just don't. I mean, you can get right into it and enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're in that situation where you're playing live and everyone's kind of on the same page, or they're making an effort to make it work and they're not thinking egotistically about it, it's rare, but it happens at jams where you basically, it really rocks. I mean, a band next level, you get that more consistently, but there's some nights with the jam nights where you get the right guys there and it's a whole lot of fun. Thanks, man. The Kemper is definitely impressive. If I had one, I'd profile all the ungodly loud amps like the Twin Reverb. Yeah, totally. I actually want to profile that George Benson Twin. I'd love to do that. That was one of the best tones I've ever heard in person. So, what else we got here? Let me just... This is the PV Bandit with the T-Dynamics cranked. And that's nowhere near as loud, is it? Man, a tune. Whoa. Maybe I just noticed it. Here's a great comment. Nathan says the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Jam on. Totally. I tell you also what's really true about going to a jam. You're only as good as your weakest link. You know, there's a couple of guys that go to the jams that aren't very good, and they've been playing for 20 years. So I don't know how, or longer. I don't know how that happens, but you're only as good as them. It only takes one person to ruin what could have been a really great set otherwise. Whether it's a drummer who can't play or another guitar player who's just doing this all night, you know, like doing these annoyingly big chords. It's like, how about you just go like this? You know, just play something musical. Like, no one wants to hear chunka chunkas, right? And you can play a really nice shuffle where everyone's like... And there's someone going... It's like, dude, turn down. I actually grabbed my friend's volume control the other night when we were playing, back before I left. And I turned it down to half. I said, keep it down on your rhythm guitar. And he's just like looking at me. Like, dude, use your ears, man. No one needs that. So, yeah, it's one of those things. You're only as good as your weakest link. And definitely what you said before is totally true. Grumpy Digger says, finally made one live. Finally made a live one. Thanks, mate. CC Music says George Benson Twin is love. Absolutely, that's just a great amp. As soon as Rick and I plugged into that, we just both went, wow. And it's lighter than a normal Twin thanks to the speakers. So they managed to make it a bit lighter, which is good. When you play with better players, it makes you better. Absolutely, totally. I've been kind of lucky in a way. I've always played with the exception of a couple of players, I've always played with rhythm sections that are better players and more seasoned than me. Even when I was learning to play live, the people around me were really good. And they're still really good. Every band I've had where I've had a consistent rhythm section, they're all really great players. And they're on a very similar page. I know straight away if someone's going to work or not. And I don't give them a third go. I might try twice, and then I'm done. I had one drummer who was schooled. He went through Melbourne Music Academy or whatever it's called, and he had no vibe. I'm not going to say his first name, but we used to call him first name McNovibe, because he had all the technical prowess in the world, and just no attitude, man. It's like those guys you see who, it doesn't matter what instrument it is, they might know all the technique, but they don't have any feel. Or they play it like, I'm like, here, learn this groove, and they play it and it sounds so clinical. I'm like, man, just take something somewhere. Don't just sit at, there's a lot of guys that are very one-dimensional when it comes to attack. And I see this on guitar a lot. A lot of guys will play with one attack all night. They'll either play like, or they'll just play like all night. There's none of that in between. Just playing with a little bit of subtlety or dynamics. It's just one attack. And this drummer especially was like, he just had that one kind of, I'm like, hit harder, man. Like, freaking get it going. And anyway, yeah, those kind of guys don't last in my bands. That's why I stopped playing in a band. Too much ego. That's from Backspin. I love driving my Mustang to jams. Driving your Mustang 3 or 4. I suffer PTSD and have not been on stage in 18 years, but now I sit with my tube amps and a small but nice guitar, and I got told to start trying to record. So like the B mic thing you did. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. 2 notes or UAD aux box, Universal Audio Design. I haven't tried that, man. I haven't tried it. I know the 2 notes works for me for what I do. They might have taken the technology maybe slightly better with the Universal Audio one, but I always say don't believe the hype on YouTube with stuff sometimes. Go check it out yourself if you can, and weigh up the price differences as well. I remember this like it was yesterday because it kind of was. When I bought my Marshall DSL right before everyone's telling me to buy the Origin one, everybody bought into the hype and everyone was wrong. The head's okay, I'll give it that, but I much prefer my DSL because I trusted my ears. Especially with audio tech, it evolves so quickly as well. I would almost say, like, if you're seriously considering buying a Universal Audio thing, I don't know how much they cost, but if it's close to the Kemper, buy a Kemper. I honestly think the Kemper's the best recording tool there is for electric guitar. If you're an amp guy and you seriously just want to use your amp, like the minus the speaker, the 2 notes is a great tool. But the Kemper does it better. Once you get a profile in there, it's a lot less hassle. It really is. You can just get your sound every single time by turning the device on. You don't have to connect up things to the low box and all that. It's very simple. So they're expensive, but they're well worth it if you're a studio guy. I can't recommend it enough. And all my backing tracks I'm doing now for YouTube, I use some sort of Fender amp bass profile I've downloaded as well. So there's all of those. It works for bass and guitar extremely well. Do that lick again. I'm not sure which one it was. To quote Joe Walsh, when you start playing live, you stink. Yeah. I mean, look, I always say to people, it's best to learn as much as you can at home, and not forever, obviously, but learn enough so you can follow simple rhythms, and you can follow simple chord progressions, and you can solo over any key, and know how and why it works. Once you can do that, you're ready to go. I mean, I probably started a little too prematurely when I first started playing live. I think the only riff I could play in blues was something like... And they said, what else do you play? I said, that's the only one I got. They're like, oh, move it up to the next fret, So we just slowed it down, sped it up. And the guys are really great because they worked with my limitations. And that's sort of one of those things where I could kind of solo, but actually it's funny because I've got footage from 2002, which is when I really started playing out live. I did play a little bit before that, but some of the footage, it's funny how much of my playing not only has evolved, but how similar it is in approach still to back then. So, yeah, it's funny when you go back and listen to it. But the thing is, it always progresses. So learn the basics of blues if you're into blues, or if you want to go to an open mic, you're going to have to learn songs, right? If you go to like an open mic night jam and it's not a blues jam, you're going to have to learn proper songs. With blues, you don't. You just got to learn how the patterns work. There's a hang on. I'm gonna have to just move. I think I lost the comment here. Sorry, guys. Jason says, as Rick Beto says, play well so others can play. Thanks, Hoof. Take it easy, man. I appreciate that. I left and came back, and you have that PRS out. I might have to break mine out too. Love that thing. Awesome. Playing in my home studio sometimes winds up being the most fun, but it's not the best thing. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I do it as well. Playing in this room is what I do, or out in the other room is what I do when I'm not shooting videos. Someone asked something about, do I have a regular gig or do I play out every week? So I play nearly every Sunday. I try to. I don't film every week or anything like that, but I might take the camera tonight. We'll see how we go. But so that's a jam. I used to run that jam for a long time now, and I handballed it off to my friend Alex. So he runs it now. And I play about once a month with my band, maybe every 5 weeks, give or take. I'm not really pursuing the gig thing anymore. There's a couple of reasons why. Mostly dealing with venues is a terrible experience, and I'm trying to cut back on things I don't enjoy. So one of the things I don't enjoy is chasing up gigs. I've done it a lot, and when you're the guy whose name's on the band, you're the guy that does everything, and it's a time-consuming process for very little back. So for me to be able to go to a jam with quality players and not have to organize anything other than which side of the stage we want to play on for 40 minutes at a time, it's just easy. I love it. So for me, that, and I'm surrounded by good friends I've known for 15, 20 years. So for me, it's a social thing, and it's also a music thing. And not all the guys at the jam are good, like I mentioned before, but when we get those good players there, man, it rocks. And a guy who's on my last album that I did this drive, Drew, he's a great drummer. He comes up. I've got another guy who's at drewdrumtracks.com as well. He's the guy that I've used a lot of my backing tracks on my channel for as well. He's got a great YouTube channel. It's small, so if you're looking for drum tracks, go check him out. But yeah, there's a lot of quality musos that are there. So for me, that's just as fun as playing in the band. It's somewhat limiting sometimes because you can't play a lot of the songs you like, but you know, the circle that go there, a lot of the guys can swap instruments like I can, or Rick can, or Brian. So we can play songs that we know if we're all together. And that's kind of fun. Just have to build up the talent and stamina to do it live. So playing live is definitely a different thing. You play for 3 hours as opposed to a 30 or 40 minute set at a jam. It definitely takes its toll. Gig fit is a term I never understood. I'm like, how hard is it to stand there? But even vocally, like if you're singing for 3 hours, you're going to blow your voice out if you're not a seasoned singer or if you don't do it a lot. And same with your hand. I tend to get sore in here if I play for, plus of 2 hours in a night. It's just the way that it is. Because and the more that I used to play in a trio where there was no other rhythm guitarist. So I was doing rhythm and lead. And I got to a point with that where I never got a sore hand. So that was, I don't think that would be the case now. So it's great having 2 guitars because you can just handball it off to someone and let them play. It's really cool. Years ago, I decided to just be the guitar player. Much more gun. I think that meant to say fun. But yeah, it is. I play better when I don't have to sing. No doubt about it. But I love writing songs. I got, what is it, 5 albums full of stuff. I tell you what, too, I'm going to put up, one of my goals now is I've said this a few times, but I'm definitely going to make more time for it. I'm going to put aside a day a week and work on this. I did a J.J. Cale sort of tribute album, and it's about 85% finished. My goal now is to get that done, and that'll be free for everybody too, so you can just download that. But I'm going to put up my other albums back up online as well, some of the better ones. Are there a lot of blues clubs you play where you live? We hardly have any in Dallas. Not really, no. There's no dedicated blues club in Melbourne anymore. At least none to my knowledge. There's a few places that have blues, but it's not it's not the preferred music. And there's this blues club in Melbourne as well, which is a joke. They kind of they ruin they go from venue to venue with really poor jam nights, and basically they last about 6 months and then they move off to another venue to ruin that. So there's not a whole lot of really great blues clubs. There used to be one not far from my house actually, but that closed down about 4 years ago. And so most of the places we play, they're not blues venues. They're places that just like music. And that's kind of the places I book now are the places where I can play what I want, and that don't require any effort to book. That's kind of, I just keep it simple and fun like that for me now. But I'd like to do a bit more live playing coming up at some point too. So I might have to try to make some, a bit of an effort. I've got so many CDs as well. I might just do a massive purge of those at some point. Longest set I did was 110 minutes. Wow, that's pretty crazy. I think I've done about 80. Easily 80. Some nights we're supposed to have 3 sets, but we only ended up having 1 break, and we played like the entire last 2 sets all at once. It was a long night, but it was fun. I keep meaning to hit 2 one day, year, decade. Yeah, it's good to keep lists and tick them off. Get things done. I'm a big believer in that. And I think my life changed positively because of that. Like having goals, even short-term ones for the day. List the 3 most important things you want to get done. And get those things done in a day. Or even if you only get 1 done, at least you can say, hey, I did that. And that's a huge thing. Big believer in that stuff. You guys are all wimps. Paul McCartney just played live for 24 hours straight. Really? I don't believe that. 10 years ago, I did the trio thing, guitar and sang 3 to 4 hours back to back. Night gigs was just brutal. Would be curious to see how many calories I burned each night. Well, yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, even standing and moving around, you're burning some. I don't know. Some people sweat way more than others too. I know guys that start sweating before they even pick up the guitar. It must be a nerve thing, like a nervous thing, some sort of response. I don't really sweat that much when I play. I don't know what it is. I will if it's like a stinking hot day. It's like 35 degrees or something. But I just don't. I don't really seem to. I don't think I'm burning as many calories from that than I would at the gym. I sat through 3 hours of Smashing Pumpkins recently. Oh, I didn't know they were still playing live. Okay, cool. They were a great band, man. I used to love them back in high school. Or just out of high school, actually. Siamese Dream, and they had that double album, which was great. Which I can't recall what it's called, but I used to have it on CD. Finding the right people to form a band is like winning the lottery. Yeah, I go mostly by personality. There has to be musical competence there, but I don't like guys that aren't nice people. I won't play with them. If they're egotistic or they're there for themselves, I don't keep them around. I play with some of the best players, you could say, or most skilled players, and some of them were just there to show off, or they were there and they weren't listening to the band. And I don't stick with them, But it's basically more about how nice the guys that are in my band are. Lovely dudes. And I wouldn't play with people who weren't. I'd rather not play than work with someone who's, not a friend. I couldn't be bothered with it. Hey Shane, Larry from Texas here. How's it going, man? Was wondering what you thought of the George Benson twin compared to the normal twin reverb. I like it a lot. I like it more. I think it's a much richer sort of clean tone. It's not as loud as the regular twin, but it's still really loud. It's lighter, which is another pro in my opinion. You got better speakers in there than the stock Fender Twin as well. Yeah, overall, I think it's probably the nicest Twin. Well, Rick will vouch for this as well. Both of us felt like it was the best Twin we've ever played. What else can I say about it? You know, you can get it to overdrive, you know, by cranking up the clean channel, whereas a regular Twin doesn't really do that. It just stays ridiculously loud the entire time. But get it up to about 6. It's just beautiful. It's really great. Those George Benson amps are, or the Twin anyways, are really great amplifier. Smashing Pumpkins has James, I'm not sure what that says, back in it now. Okay, cool. I saw Billy on, is it Billy? On Joe Rogan's podcast recently too. He's talking about the music industry and all that. It was pretty interesting. He's got an interest. You know, I used to love that dude's voice. I don't know. I have to listen to it again to see how I feel about it now. It's funny like that, man. Time does weird things to taste. But yeah, I had a lot of their albums and I was a big fan. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. Have a good night. Chasing gigs and then chasing money. Yeah, look, that's the thing with music. You got to play it because you love it. You don't play it to get rich. If you do, you're going to be extremely disappointed unless you're in a commercial band that is well organized, and that's good luck with that. Look, people can make a living playing around the same 12 venues in their city for years, but it's pretty tough. It really is. You got to play it because you love it. And I mean, Rick, Brian, all those guys, they play because they can, and that's what they want to do. They know when they play with me, they're only going to get $50, and I get $50. So, you know, they're not going out there to make, we might get $100 some nights each, but because we're not playing, look, they could make $1,300 a night playing cover band stuff, but that's not where our heads are at. You know, we play the stuff we enjoy. Rick does a bit of that, but for the rest of us, we don't play those. We play what we enjoy. But yeah, and you just got to enjoy it. That's what it is. I think it's important to have something else, you know, as well as music. Music can be a really good equalizer. And I think I found that in the gym, you know, like it was of all places, just doing something completely different to playing guitar was a really great sort of neutralizer, or whatever you want to call it. You know, it helped a lot of things. It keeps me kind of balanced. You know, I got this, which I love. Now I've got something else, which I realized while I was away that how much of a part of my life, obviously guitar is. I know I've always known that when I don't get to play for a while, I get like, I got to go to a shop and touch a guitar. But for me, like gym or just walking and stuff like that is part of it as well now. And I think it's a good thing to have more than just one thing you enjoy, or something that's completely different, whether it's, you know, if you like driving cars or whatever. Change the patch here. Let's go back. Where is it? Back to the studio. There we go. You're going to hear that lick coming out once I nail it. It's crazy how different the people are that come together to play. Absolutely. And that's one of the cool things about the jam. You know, like there's people of all nationalities, backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. But when you're playing music you love, it all works, man. You all got that common ground. I think, you know, some of the best friends I have now I met at jams. and I had them, some of these great friends for years. So it's funny. I first met Rick back in 2002. I think I met him, and he was at a blues jam, and he had a shirt on, and he was in his work gear. He just rocked up with a Fender Bassman in a room that shouldn't have a Fender Bassman in it. I was watching this guy play. I'm like, he's not even looking at the guitar. He's just great. He's like, just in the zone, and it was so loud. But yeah, I remember, like, these are the guys that I met at jams. I met Brian I met Brian before I met him at a jam night. I met him through another friend of mine who's a really great player and singer. Brian was playing bass, and he was great. And my friend Dean is, like I said, phenomenal singer, guitar player. And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to swap. I'll jump on bass the next set and let Brian sing and play guitar." I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, why would you want to do that?" And then, because I didn't know Brian could play and sing, and I heard him play and sing, and I'm like, "Oh man, this guy's better." I actually he did a version of Crossroads. I swear, like, I've never heard anyone do a better solo. Like, people say, Clapton's Crossroads from wherever. No, Brian's Crossroads from like 1999 or 2000 was a guy can play his ass off. It was hilarious. And my friend was there with me, and we're both like, "Who is this? Why is this? How's this guy not famous?" So yeah, there's a lot of great There's a lot of great players out there, and these are dudes that I've just known. So for me, like, the jam is a social thing, like I mentioned, but it also brings that common ground together. And my only complaint with jams is I wish certain players made more of an effort to at least listen back to what they're doing. Bring a camera, bring a little audio recorder, record on your phone, and listen back and seeing if what you're playing is working. And I've always done that. I think that's something that has improved my playing, and doing YouTube videos obviously has improved my playing to some extent. I've become maybe more refined in what I play and more tidy on the most part, minus whatever I'm doing today. But it forces you to sort of play better. And I try not to put a backing track up that I'm not. I've got a standard I want to have on my backing, like the intro tracks, right? Some are questionable, but most of them I'm pretty happy with, or it's the best I could play on that day. So hearing yourself back makes you more critical of yourself, but it also makes you improve. And that's just one of those things where I don't think a lot of people, even guys who have been playing for a long time, they haven't heard themselves play. And that's not to ridicule them. It's just to say, this is how you improve. Like, ever since I first started playing, I always had a little recorder with me. And I was like, I just record it and listen back. And I was like, "Oh man, that's horrible. All right, I'm not going to do that riff anymore." There's a riff I picked up off Clapton years ago that I played it because I thought it sounded good. And then I realized it didn't sound good. He does this thing where he goes... I used to play that all the time, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to forget about that. And I selectively let it go after hearing it back in context. My friend goes, "That riff sucks." I was like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yeah, sounds like crap." I'm like, "Oh, all right. So thanks for the brutal, honest feedback." So I just, you dismiss stuff. And you also can add to things as well over the years. Jam some punk. I can't play punk. I'll give you this riff. It's an old riff of mine from years ago. Showman says hearing yourself is absolutely necessary. Totally. Absolutely. And I hear stuff on my videos and I just go, far out, I gotta stop doing that. Or I play that way too much, or, all that sort of stuff. So but for me, like, YouTube videos aren't really about the playing. as long as it's like watchable and enjoyable, right? It's more about like whatever it is. If you're doing a video on an amp, you want to sort of hear what the amp does. You don't want to watch the guitar player sort of, noodle around for 30 minutes, right? It's not really helpful. It's about if someone wants to see a video about a PV Bandit, they want to hear it, right? They want to see what the amp can do, not how. No one wants to hear noodling for 20 minutes. So I try to keep my videos more about something than more about what I'm doing on guitar. I hate hearing recordings of myself, but it really does help, especially hearing the repeated riff thing. I get pissed hearing the same old crappy licks that sneak by and have it. Yeah, totally. And I mean, I've realized over the years I've got certain riffs for different types of feels. Like if I'm playing a minor blues, I'll play very different to playing like a straight up shuffle in a dominant pattern, which is great because back early on, I'd play the same minor stuff over everything. But now I'm starting to branch out, and that came through hearing things back and going, man, I'm so bored of this minor pentatonic. How can I make this particular dominant feel sound completely different? And over minors, actually, someone asked me about like modes and scales and all that kind of stuff. I use a lot of Aeolian stuff over minor blues. So I use a lot of different notes not notes, but I use different approaches now over different fields. And that can kind of make you sound more proficient, maybe, even though it's pretty simple stuff. So I try not to blend too much of the same stuff over everything. If I'm playing a shuffle, a lot of my riffs will be, I'll be playing sort of more of that major sounding stuff. As opposed to just, that's kind of like what I'd play over more of the slow blues or whatever. All right, Curtis says, hi mate, have you ever tried a Fender ProSonic combo or a head? You really need to test one out. Look, I haven't actually played one, but I've heard one. Chris Kane was using one when I saw him play live, and it was awesome. It was so good. Actually, there's been two occasions. I owned a Fender The Twin, which isn't a twin amp. It's like a twin amp with a drive channel. So it is kind of like a twin, but it's a little different. It also had a power attenuator. I had a guy turn up who wanted to swap me for a ProSonic, and back then I just got the twin, and I said no, I'm not interested. But the ProSonic sounded so good. They're really, really great. Really great amp, loaded with, I think, might have been 2 10-inch speakers, I'm pretty sure. And it was mighty, absolutely mighty. PV Bandit Red Stripe is as good as Shane says. I can really get my favorite tone out of it. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm glad. I love it. I love that amp. And it put it into context for me owning the newer version for a little while. A lot of people said to me, oh, the new one, the speaker needs to break in. It wasn't brand new, right? It was the new version. It was a used amplifier that I picked up cheap. After comparing them, I'm really happy with that Red Stripe one. I love it. But it's all personal choice, like I mentioned earlier. Anyone have any ideas how to make jamming online possible? Yeah, you could do it. It would just the thing is, there's always latency, and you'd have to sort of have a low latency setup, which even 500 milliseconds could cause problems, especially if someone's overseas. I know most ping times overseas is around 230 milliseconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're trying to play in time with everybody, and someone's got a 230 ping, someone's got a 330 ping, it might throw out what you're hearing back. I've given a couple of lessons via Google Hangouts, and that kind of works, but I don't know. The problem you have with a lot of tech, especially Skype, right? If you're talking and someone else starts talking, nothing happens. You don't hear the other person at all, right? Because it doesn't seem to communicate well both ways. You'll end up thinking someone's talking and you'll stop, or there's an audio issue with two people talking at the same time on Skype. It just doesn't work. Go watch a lot of channels that do Skype interviews, and there's always that don't talk when I'm talking kind of thing happening because it does cut it out. I'll watch your practice amp vids, but what do you think about the reissue Tweed 5-watt Fender? 5-watt Fender. I don't know the 5-watt Fender amp. Let me know what it's called if you could, because off the top of my head, I can't think of any 5-watt Fender Tweed amps. I think it would be tough to play together because of the latency and lag. You could do a play thing. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I don't know exactly what that meant at the end, but yeah, latency and lag would be a huge problem. There are some sort of audio setups where multiple people can be heard when they talk, but yeah, I just don't think you'd all have to have similar ping times for that to work. It's not something that it would require a server to be able to change latency for individuals in real time. Like, it would have to connect. Say everyone's coming in at like between 200 and 250 milliseconds. It would need to adjust the 200 millisecond ping times to 250 for everybody. Like, and it would have to do that in real time. So, it could be done, right? But it would require some pretty serious software programming. It's a 5-watt 57 Tweed reissue. Okay, you know what? I don't know about it, so I'll look it up. Yeah, the champs are usually oh, okay, Fender champ. Yeah, all right. I totally forgot about those amps. I'll have to look into that. Cool. I record myself on all the time on my phone. Definitely gives me food for thought. Yeah, totally. And it's just a good thing to do. Anytime I'm working on a song, I do the same thing. I just use my phone. You know, some of the riffs I play on my videos, I just sit down. I'm like, all right, come up with something new. And I come up with something and I just record it on my phone, or I even use my webcam and just make sure I got a reference of it somewhere, and then I come back and listen to it later. It's a good learning tool like that. Yeah, and it's easy to forget stuff. You go, I won't forget that tomorrow. You come back and it's gone. All right, guys. Well, it's coming up. It's just over 2 hours. I might hit the road. Well, not really hit the road, but I might just. I've got a few more things coming up on the channel. I have a set of Atom Audio studio monitors sitting on the floor, which will be replacing these KRK Rocket 8s. This one over here has been sort of faulty for a while, actually. So, and not faulty bad, but it's been rattling a bit. The bottom cone's been rattling. So these turned up right on time, so I'll have that. I've got a couple of other pedals as well. Some really sort of mid to high end stuff as well. This, which I think I might have shown in the last live stream. I still haven't done a video of it yet, but supposedly this is really good. I'll find out when I plug it in. And there's another pedal out there called the Cinnamon Drive, which is a 2-in-1 with a boost. It looks killer. Came with a pedal board. You can kind of mount it on without using Velcro. So I guess we'll see what they're like. And yeah, I'm going to see whether or not I do any more Sky Music videos or borrow stuff from the shop. I kind of feel like I've got a whole lot of other ideas for videos that might work, might not. But if, I'll give them a go and we'll see how it goes anyway. So you need to go work out and restock your Pepsi Max. Well, I worked out this morning, but yeah, I need to get a few things for the house here as well. So, do HSS strats still sound like strats? In my opinion, they kind of do, to some extent. Some of them have pretty bright humbuckers in them, so it kind of still sounds stratty. Not all the way there, but way more stratty than a Les Paul. All right, guys, thanks heaps for hanging out. Thanks for everyone who used the super chat too, guys. I appreciate that. You know, you never have to do it, but it's nice of you for the guys who do, and I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, I apologize. There's plenty of comments here over the 2 hours. It's easy to miss stuff. I don't miss it intentionally, so yeah, I'll do a podcast video coming up pretty soon too. I might maybe shoot that tomorrow and see if I can get it up in the next day or two. But yeah, thanks for all the information back this way as well, and I hope you enjoyed the live stream. And I will catch you all soon. So yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, give it the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Been here for a while and it's been enjoyable. So rock on, guys, and I will use the super chat for more Pepsi Max. Absolutely. All right, guys, have a good day, have a good night, and I'll catch you soon. See ya.